Good evening everyone and welcome to the very first round of the Australian Pro-Am Sim Series. I'm your host for tonight, Stuart Brown, and we are on FGM eCast Live. Just started our qualifying session here, a massive 43 cars joining us for this first race tonight, and we are at the lovely virtual Phillip Island tonight, and thank goodness it is virtual because the weather in Melbourne is absolutely appalling. It would be snowing down there would be hail, and there'd probably also be 40-degree temperatures as well if you have any awareness of the track down there at Phillip Island. That is generally how it rolls. We're extremely excited to be here tonight. This is a brand new series that has been put together, and it features, as the name suggests, some pro racers. So by pro racers, we mean people who actually do take the racetrack across a number of different series, including Aussie race cars, go-karting, and some also, I believe, Formula Ford. So these guys certainly know this track. A lot of them will have driven here in real life. We do also have some others who have joined along for the ride, and that has produced this mammoth grid that we have in front of us for the race tonight. We're lucky tonight that the broadcast has been brought to us by our official streaming partner, which is, of course, the fantastic guys at AFTERSHOCK PC. And the series itself has attracted some sponsorship too from HJ Plant Repairs. The guys there have jumped on board to put together some prize money for this series, which I think is part of the reason why we have such a massive grid on board tonight. On top of that, with some of the hard work that these guys have been doing to put this series together, we have a couple of additional prizes tonight. So there is some prize money on the line for the winner of this one, but we also are fortunate enough to have a sponsorship for qualifying, which tonight's pole position is brought to us by DNO Building Services, Dean McCulloch in Adelaide. He specialises in general building maintenance, including some electrical, air conditioning and plumbing. So in Adelaide, no lockdown over there at the moment, pretty much COVID-free. So if you need any of that sort of work done, then give Dean a buzz and support the businesses that support our racing series. So while we can, just about HJ Plant Repairs as well, Hayden Jackson is running around tonight in the number 8 BMW. He is the HJ, Hayden Jackson of HJ Plant Repairs. They're from the Hunter Valley region, so a lovely part of the world, and they do all kinds of servicing and repairs on construction and mining equipment, and also do some troubleshooting as well. We've heard that's part of their expertise. So again, if you're in the Hunter region, we would love it if you jump on board and support the people supporting our series. So the structure for the race tonight is probably something else that we need to briefly touch on. So obviously now we're into an open qualifying session. So we've got by open, for those of you new to following the iRacing series, we have open qualifying. There is a closed qualifying period, which would be similar to what you would expect to see in, say, a Bathurst 1000 top 10 shootout setup, or an open series, which is just like your regular, everyone out on track at the same time. Challenges the drivers to find themselves in a good position or try to find a good position to get a good clean lap in. Advantages of being able to use some draft potentially to get yourself down the track a little quicker, particularly down the main straight here at Phillip Island, but also the potential for disaster to have your fast lap impeded by another driver. Following that, we have this is a 20-minute session. We then have a 25-minute race 1, running with what's called a progressive grid. So following on from the race 1, race 2. The results of race 1 will form the grid for our second race, which is a 45-minute race around this track. If you jumped on board with us tonight, we would appreciate a share or a like or a follow. If you've got any comments, do jump in and let us know what you're thinking, what you're doing, what you're watching, and yeah, we'd love to interact with our audience as always. So we've got 14 minutes to go in this session. I'm just having a look down the field. So on our streaming information here, we have a big list of all of the cars, like a timing board that you would see if you were looking at any other form of broadcast motorsport. So the V8 supercars or what have you. And because of the number of cars that are on the track, just struggling a little bit to get them all onto the screen so I can keep an eye on who's doing purple sectors and have a look at what's going on. So I would expect to see here that our faster drivers will at some stage pull into the pits, have a refresh, potentially put on new tyres, and then go again. So we are keeping an eye out for that, and we'll keep you up to date on what's going on there as we get towards the close of this session. So we're just getting ourselves organised here, just so that we can see best what's going on. We actually had to relocate our studio today with the COVID shutdowns in Victoria where we're based. Not allowed to be at work late into the evening to bring these races to you. So we're a little bit behind, but we will get there and tell you a little bit more about our drivers and what you can expect to see tonight. Hey Scotty, thanks for joining the stream, mate. Okay, so we're on board at the moment. We've just jumped on board with Brad Klink, who has jumped into the GT40 for this series. Brad does run in a fair bit of iRacing. So expect to see him do reasonably well. He has jumped into a newer car tonight though, so currently sitting in 15th place. Jeff Connell is our effective pole position sitter at the moment. He has done a 1:27.13, only 2/10 of a second faster than Brady Myers, currently sitting in second. Trent Lavis in third, Jack Boyd in fourth, Glenn Boyd in fifth. Andrew Gartland in 6th and Simon Lartner 7th. Ian McMahon in 8th. Brad McHugh in 9th. And rounding out our top 10 at this point in time is Tom Heyman. So we've still got 10 minutes to go in this session. So plenty of time left for these guys to do a faster lap. So what we're on the lookout here for really is at the bottom of your screen there, you do have a lap indicator as such, and that lap indicator will show you the speeds or sector speeds of the drivers. So what you're looking for is purple. Obviously it's moving quickly because we do have a lot of drivers on track at the moment, but we're really looking for those purple sectors. Purple being a good sign that they're on a fast lap, and certainly that they've done the fastest sector time for the session. Green means that they are up on their own fastest sector for this session. So just trying to get clear track for them is definitely the issue here. Okay. So we're just jumping on board with Jack Boyd here. Looks like the Boyd brothers, as we will probably end up calling them. I do enjoy part of this job is giving people appropriate nicknames, and the Boyd brothers harks me back to my childhood watching the old... what was it? That came from the Mighty Ducks with the Bash Brothers. So anyway, I'm jumping on board with them at the moment. He is, Jack, doing a fastest first sector as he looks to move up from 4th position where he's currently sitting. I imagine Glenn here trying to stick onto the tail to get a little bit of a draft there and pull him along as well, as we see equally on our timing screen Brad Klink move inside the top 10 provisionally for qualifying for this race. Couple of faster racers who probably are struggling a little bit at this stage to get a clean run. See Miles Bond a little bit further back at this stage in 15th on the grid in the BMW, which he knows well. Having run that into the... as someone goes way off on the infield there. Thanks very much, Jill Burgess, for the update there. Actually, a father and son, so we'll have to revise that one there. That probably won't work there for them. Miles does run, or did run in the Sports Sedan series, taking a break from that series this year to run with us here. So expect to see him move his way up the field. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time for us to get familiar with the drivers as a new category. There are some that we've seen from our other our other broadcasts, but not all together in a field like this. So we just see... Matt Cartaglione, who is one of our series organisers here, who has just moved himself up into 6th position on the grid. So we've got just under 6 minutes to go in qualifying here. Just looking back through the pack to see if we've got any faster sectors. There's a lot of people in the pits at the moment. Got probably half a dozen drivers in the pits at the moment, and a few equally on their outlap. So just waiting to see how this will change. The track state will improve. The condition of the track itself will improve as the guys get around here. With this number of cars on the track, expect the track to grip up reasonably quickly. We're running in an afternoon session as well, so the track temperature will be quite high here. We'll take you through that just before we get into the race itself. So once we roll out of these last 5 minutes of qualifying, we'll put that information up on the screen there and give you a better understanding of what it's like out there on track at the moment. Just keeping an eye on Brad Klink here as he is on a flying lap in that awesome sounding Ford. Part of the Redback racing team. Brad does a lot of driving, so expect to see him make his way up the list. We will try and give good coverage to everyone throughout the field tonight. So if you are watching and you do want to have a look at a driver or one of the teams that you're following, then give us a comment in the messages and we will do our best to give you some coverage of your driver or friend that you may be following. Another one of the guys that contributes heavily to the organisation here is this man here, Mr. Frank Hodak, who does work, lucky enough to work at the Bend Motorsport Park in South Australia, so another one of our South Australian competitors. It does some really fantastic creative work and has got that BMW looking schmick with the Bend Motorsport Park sponsorship on that one there. So currently sitting in 19th on the grid provisionally. Front of him in 18th is Daniel Webster, who is trying to put in or is on another flying lap. So trying to improve on a 28.35. So around about, how far, what have we got here? We've got a second covering our top 15 spots at this point in time. So very compressed field in terms of the speed of our drivers, which will make it exciting for us as the viewers to have a look at this race as it gets started for the first race. Okay, so 2 minutes to go. Jeff Connell is still out on track and he is on another flying lap here. Just heading around down into the bottom part of the circuit. So he's going down into through turn 3 into turn 4. And looks like he might have just run a little wide there and may pull out of that lap. Just check on his sector times there. And Brady Myers has just put in a 1:26.98 to currently move himself into provisional pole there. He's got the Husingveld sponsorship on that BMW and has just managed to sneak in front of Jeff Connell. Jeff will get around in time to start one more flying lap as he heads up the hill here before getting up over the top of Lukey Heights and down into the heavy braking zone. So he will make his way around and start another flying lap. So we'll stick on board with him here. We'll keep an eye on the timing screens to see if anyone else does start to move or make a move to try and take out this provisional pole. Our first pole position for the Aus Pro Am Sim Series. So we're going to see Brady Myers take out the D&O Building Services sponsored pole position, or will it be this man, Jeff Connell, who we are on board with at the moment? His Sector 1 time is a little down, unfortunately. He's just flashing the headlights there at another driver in front of him who does make way to let them know that he is on a flying lap, and we want to see how he goes. Does he catch up a little bit of time as we head through into Sector 2? A lot of the drivers doing the right thing here, and if they're not on a flying lap, just moving off to the side. Brady Myers has pulled into pit lane, so he is done and has put the keys on the hanger for this qualifying session. So Jeff Connell here, he is up in Sector 2. Just see someone go off wildly in the background there. They will manage to make it out to the race thanks to the benefits of sim racing. And Jeff hasn't managed to make and complete that lap, so that is it for the D&O sponsored qualifying session with Brady Myers. Congratulations taking that out. So we will now bring this grid up onto the screen for you, and we are going to have to get through it rapid style, which we will do our very best to do. We will just get rid of that NASCAR style ticker across the top of the screen there. So just running through the grid, we've only got about 30 seconds until the grid will be full. We've got Brady Myers on pole position as it sits at the moment, followed by Jeff Connell, Jack Boyd, Trent Levis, Glenn Boyd, and Matthew Cartleone, Andrew Gatland, Simon Lartner, Ian McMahon, Brad McHugh, Brad Klink, and Tom Heyman taking out the top 12 positions in this one as we roll through. Kuznetsov, Interesi, just a few names there to challenge me for tonight. Glenn Firth, Scott Short, Sam Lehman, Miles Bond, Vantagito, Daniel Webster, followed by McCulloch, Frank Kodak, Matt Gray, Hayden Jackson, Luke Bergens, Jeff Wang, Nathan Webber, Adam Bolton, heading down through into 29th to Buchanan, and Sebastian Murray Westberg, followed by Paul Chapman, Phil Dalton, Stephen Bartholomew, Carl Barvik, Sam Thurtell, Dwayne Voss, and rounding out our 37 cars on the grid is Rodney Hobbs. Wow, that was a lot. But that's great, what we like to see here. So this is Heat Race 1, and we at the moment are on board with Brady Myers, our pole sitter, who is flashing on and off the screen a little there. So just have to follow him around. So what will happen here is our drivers will make their way around this fantastic Phillip Island circuit for a full race 1. So as you can see here, track temperature currently at 21 degrees Celsius, a little bit of humidity, a little bit of a tailwind, 4.41 kilometers of track for us to focus on today. As you know, down in the lovely Phillip Island, located just outside of Cowes in Victoria. So they'll roll around, and this will be a rolling start for this race. Be at the control of the leaders at this point in time. And really what we're looking for here is a clean start. You know, obviously a long race, or a relatively long race. We've got a 20-minute race followed by a 45-minute race here. So there's plenty of time for these drivers to make some progress. Maybe they're unhappy with their qualifying position, but to make some progress as they get into this one and move themselves into a better position for potentially that second race. So once we get into the race, we will bring a track map up on the screen for you, which will show you or enable you to have a look at where your favourite driver might be positioned. At this stage, on board with our pole sitter Brady Myers, and thanks again to our sponsors for the pole position prize, the guys at D&O Building Services, Dean McCulloch in Adelaide. We really appreciate your support. So heading around here, you'll see the safety car will pull off to the left-hand side of the track, and with this many cars on track, it would be remiss of us not to start the race from our blimp and just have a look at the field as we roll around the final turn under the control of the starter, and we will get this underway. What an extraordinarily fantastic looking field we have for tonight's race as well. Thank you to the guys for putting this together. It looks absolutely brilliant, and we are off and racing. There's the green flag, and it is Brady Myers who gets us down into turn 1. There will be lots of jostling in position in the pack there. Hopefully they get all through. We are 4 wide into turn 1. Those numbers don't always work, so it's going to be interesting to see if everyone gets through. There was a slide in the mid-pack there, but it is Myers from Boyd and Connell taking us through into turn 2 and back down into this first part of this race. What a fantastic start there from our pole position sitter. He is going to try and cut and run, and he will need to, with some very close, very quick guys behind them. As we get down, there's going to be a lock up there. Yes, there is, and off they go, our leader. And this is going to mix the pack up completely as the leader has gone wide. I'm just waiting to see if everyone can get through here. It was always going to be congested into turn 4, and there was talk in the pre-race drivers briefing of making sure that they gave room to everyone so that we could get through here cleanly, and it hasn't happened. What does that mean? It means Jack Boyd of the Boyd pairing out and off and running. We've got Jack Boyd in front with Lavis, and then Glenn Boyd in third as he is put under pressure, and I think there was a tap there as well. Yes, there was, and that is very disappointing for the Boyd pairing there to have that early race incident take him out of the third position there. So a lot of jostling. There's going to be a lot for race control to do out of this start here, with some damage, unfortunately, to a number of the cars as they tried to get in and around this first lap. Take nothing away from our race leader, though. Jack Boyd has managed to cut and run himself, and doing so with Trent Levis in hot pursuit of him there. Brady McHugh in third. We've got Matthew Cartaglione up into fourth from his initial starting grid. He is up 2 places. Brady McHugh is up 7 spots, a massive 7 spots in 1 lap. That's a fantastic effort from him. It's very disappointing, Jill, unfortunately, for the guys there, with a fantastic start for both of them. That turn 4 is notorious for that in these high-packed field races. Boyd doing a fantastic job here. He is the fastest man on track at the moment, and putting his head down and getting to work to establish, hopefully, from his perspective, an unassailable lead in this one. Take out the very first race of this series. That would be something to put on your CV, particularly given the number of cars involved here. A great start for him. I'm just having a look through some of the early incidents. There was a lot to take in there, and we do get notified of the events that happen on track as Boyd puts down a 127.5, still fastest man on track. Unfortunately, though, because I think a lot of the damage or a lot of the early race incidents were bump and runs or small incidents, we didn't get to see a lot of them, but there were some slides, and certainly the drivers struggling with the cooler tyres at the start of this race. Boyd heads down into turn 4 here, breaking it around the 100-metre board and turning that fantastic looking BMW in to turn 4. Really sets up the back half of the lap here, this corner here, getting in, getting the car turned, and getting on the gas as early as you can to start the run up towards Hayshed, and then up over the top of the mountain, up over the top of Lukey Heights there, into that other braking zone. So you can certainly make or break your lap with your exit out of turn 6 there. So up over the hill here, jumping onto the brakes, getting it turned in, getting it stopped, not running wide, and then again as early as you can back on the throttle as we go through this last group of corners. Again here, a little lift, and he'll turn in nice and early and then get back on the gas full throttle before hitting a top speed down here. I reckon probably around 270 kilometers an hour in this little BMW. It gets up and boogies, which is why it is heavily represented in our field here. Is he going to quite get there? Yeah, just over 270 an hour, so he certainly maximised his exit there and got that done. Just seeing here a notification of another crash, unfortunately a little further back in our field, as we see Brad Klink there moving himself back up into 8th position, and doing a good job in that mid-pack. Just running back through here, having a look at some of our other drivers with that full grid that we've got there. You can see how full the map is. So if you are wanting to see one of your favourites, or if you're looking for one of the drivers that you are following, let us know in the chat and we will bring them up on screen and give them a little bit of airtime so that you can see who you came here to see. So the gap between the leaders at the moment is just on 1.5 seconds there. So not close enough for Trent Levis, who is running second, to make a challenge, but certainly close enough that if Boyd does relent to any great extent, that he will be pounced upon by Levis and challenged for the lead. So a lot of these guys, as I mentioned in our pre-race, are absolutely involved in real-life motorsport. So whether it be go-karting, a lot of them do the Aussie Race Car Series as well, so that support category to the V8 Supercars. So these guys, a lot of them will have driven around this track in real life and understand exactly what it is or what is required to get these things around this track quickly. The biggest difference, if you are new to sim racing, however, is that the experience in a sim racer versus in a real car, obviously aside of the the smell and those other things that come with racing a car in real life, is the way that you drive the car. So these guys are driving the car with their eyes, not with their backsides, and that might sound funny, but when you race a race car, you feel everything through your bum. Your bum's pretty much the most important thing, other than looking, to understanding how your car's driving and how it's performing, say, whether it be under brakes or through corners. In this particular case, what they're using is their eyes, and the most important part of a sim racer's equipment is actually the pedals. So the feel through the pedals for consistency in terms of braking, and then very much by the time, unfortunately, if you're going into a slide or you're experiencing some issues, you have to see it on the screen to understand and compute that information before you're actually able to respond to it. So a lot of the time, these drivers, if they are in a slide, will struggle to control it, because by the time they're in a slide and they actually see it, they're already out of control. So to give you a bit of understanding of the differences between a real-life drive and the sim experience. But having said all of that, there are a lot of professional race drivers who use the sim experience to improve their racecraft and practice during downtimes. And the reason is because it is so close to real racing. So you'll notice that a lot of the time that the guys that are naturally quick on the real racetrack, albeit there'll be a bet-in period, will also end up being quite good at sim racing. It's not all absolute rule, as we just see Ian McMahon move up into 5th position there, but that certainly is how it generally works. So the battle here for 3rd and 4th, we're just going to jump back on board with Brady McHugh, who has, unfortunately, there has been an accident there as well. We've just missed that. We'll just jump back on board there. We'll bring you a replay quickly of that and see what has happened there. So as we're going down in, and oh yeah, so he's just tucked in underneath him there and sent him around with a small tap on the back corner, and that's caused a little bit of a traffic jam behind them there. You can see the number 30 car there of Tom Heyman is extensively damaged on the nose. So that one there brought to you, sponsored by Century Batteries, a good Australian motorsport supporter. And just seeing Paul jump on there, and Dan Clarkson, there you go, guys, this is your man Tom Heyman here. He's currently running in 6th, up 6 spots on his qualifying position, but that BMW is definitely not a low mileage X demo. So he, with that, will be struggling a little bit for straight line speed. So it's a good thing to an extent that he's stuck a little bit in a pack, because that will help him down the straights to replace some of that lost straight line speed that he will be suffering from that damage that he got. So these guys, as we've got another spin down into turn 4, it is easy to over-rotate the car there. This battle pack is fantastic. Just to keep you informed, Jack Boyd's still in charge of this race, just still around about 1.5 seconds in front of Trent Levis. But I feel like this is where the action is, and we should stick on board with this group. It might just give you, as we see Brad Clink head off on the inner side of the track there. That is certainly not the fastest way to get around here. And we're just going to jump onto the chopper view and just give you an idea of how close this all is, as we do see Simon Lartner there in the 36 BMW. A little slow coming up over Lukey Heights, and almost having Tom Heyman capitalise on that, as Heyman himself runs down onto the inside of the track, and that will have damaged his speed heading onto the straight here. He's lost out a little bit on the draft there from Lartner, so that will affect him, as we were talking about, with that damage on the front of his car. And don't be too surprised if Brady Myers pulls to the inside of the track here, as he's sitting in the middle of the track. That's okay to there's going to touch. They're going to touch. And there's a small touch there with the left-hand rear wheel. They were lucky to get away with that on that high-speed part of the circuit. But they have managed to do so, as we'll just jump back a little bit further here with Jeff Connell, who took some opportunity out of that to close up right on the back of Brady Myers. So this battle here heating right up. We basically have less than a second covering this group of 6 or 7 cars, and it's been that way for this whole race. So this is definitely where we want. We're going to zoom out a little bit further out to the blimp view here, just to give you an idea of how congested that actually looks. So what have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars in a very small grouping. What that's allowed the front pack to do is to clear off, and from Lartner in 4th right down to Miles Bond in 10th, we have 6 cars in a less than a second grouping there, as there is a pass being made down the inside there. It looks like Simon Lartner has moved his position up there into 4th, just waiting for, yes, and that is what happened. So a good move there for him to move his way up into 4th and head off and run. Brady Myers still sitting there in 5th, down 4 spots from his qualifying position on pole after he ran wide down into turn 4 on cold tyres. As there's more dirt and dust coming up in the background there, someone's run wide on the run onto the main straight. That is a scary place to do that in real life. Certainly not fighting for sheep stations, but you would be convinced if you didn't know that that they were all doing it, with this pack of cars just fighting hard, but clean as well. And that is what we like to see. So they all head down into turn 4. A little bit of a bump there. No bump at all, actually. Just very, very close under brakes as they head up into turn 5. Get the cars turned in through the mid-corner and really try and stomp on it out of here to maximise the pace of this lap. At this stage, we've only got 2 outs for the whole field. So the guy's doing a fantastic job here. Just to give you an idea of the cars as well, we've got a mixture of, this is all GT3 racing, but a mixture of BMW, Ford, Mercedes, McLaren and Ferrari, along with a solitary Audi. The BMW certainly the pick of the cars in this category, and that is because it is the fastest car in this category at the moment. Extremely popular. What have we got there? At the moment, it is a Bavarian top 10 lockout. So we really need Brad Clink to get back up there inside the top 10, along with Daniel Webster and Brady McHugh to spice life up a little bit for us. So things have sort of settled down a little bit here, which means I can take a breath, which is always advantageous if I'm going to survive these commentary stints. As we see then, again, the car's just squirming under brakes a little bit, dealing with the track temperatures and the tyres just struggling to pull these cars up here. They're reasonably well balanced, these little BMWs, which I think is part of the reason why people like them, but they aren't necessarily the easiest car to drive in this class. So yeah, you do need to be able to maximise the pace out of them with a little bit of setup as well. We head over here into the, this is a very easy turn. Oh, and close then again under brakes, just locking, squirming, and the cars sliding around behind themselves. So less than a quarter of a second between these two, and things have settled down a little bit behind them with the field spreading with a number of those incidents earlier on. I can tell you that the gap at the front has reduced down to just under a second between Boyd and Lavis. As we see, these two keep fighting it out, and they're fighting at this stage for 4th position in this first race. I haven't even looked at the clock there. We've got just under 10 minutes to go in this first race, so plenty for these drivers to still be at it for. Jack Boyd has skipped away a little bit further again at the front there. I will bring you some more coverage of our race leader shortly as we just try and give some coverage to our entire field. Brad Klink there just making a move down into turn 4, a favourite and reliable passing spot for these cars. Only got 2 Fords running in our entire, 3 Fords, my apologies, running in our entire field at this point in time. A brand in motorsport that needs no introduction, that GT badge. The car, not this specific model, but the car itself overall featured in that Ford versus Ferrari movie recently that you may well have seen, as again they sticking the nose out down into the corner over Lukey Heights. It's a tough place to pass there. You can get it right. It's an easy place to pass, but it's very easy to get it wrong and make it a hard place to pass. So always cautious there, because if you get it wrong, you end up down effectively in the trailer parking area at Phillip Island, and there's no coming back from that. So Miles Bond, another one of our real race car drivers here, he does run in the Australian Sports Sedan Series in a fantastically built Ford Escort, if I am not mistaken. I may be wrong, and if I am, I apologise, Miles, for getting that wrong. But an all-black affair, that one, and plenty of work going on in that car while racing is suspended at the moment. Not a lot of, obviously, real-life car racing going on in the southern states as it stands, with the closed borders, meaning that this particular track, of course, can't be accessed for local car racing, which is disappointing. But, of course, these guys finding other things to do with their time, like joining us here in this fantastic series. We do have to thank our race organisers too. It's a very, very time-consuming job, particularly to get 37 cars on a debut series. That is a lot of work goes into getting that done. So well done to them, and also to HJ Plant Repairs for jumping on board. Actually, the man chasing Brad Klink for a top 10 spot, Hayden Jackson, in that red BMW as well, is the man behind the scenes at HJ Plant Repairs. When you're watching back and looking through it, Hayden, thanks very much for jumping on board and supporting this race, as otherwise without your support we wouldn't be able to bring it to our audience here, so we certainly appreciate it. Check back in with our race leader now, as we're looking at just on 6.5 minutes to go, or just under 6.5 minutes to go. Kept his nose clean through some early incidents, and has managed to maintain the lead and take advantage of those early race incidents and head off into the distance along with his partner in crime at this point in time, Trent Lavis, who is chasing or attempting to chase him down. That gap there has been reasonably stable for this race, so around about just on a second between these two, and then a whopping 12 seconds back down to Brady Myers. So these guys have managed to get themselves out and off. So Scott's just let us know that iRacing regular in the V8 Supercars, which are also at Phillip Island this week, and the lap times here very similar to those cars. So different to the V8 Supercars in one respect. These cars have a lot more aero than a V8 Supercar does. They've got better brakes, and that allows them to stop and turn at the same time. Driving a V8 Supercar, you've definitely got to only do one thing at a time. They cannot turn and stop. And they certainly can't accelerate and turn at the same time without some consequence. So yeah, and again, as Scott's turning out there, the ABS and traction control in these particular vehicles also helps. None of that takes away from the excellent job that Boyd is doing in leading this first race of the Aus Pro Am Sim Series, brought to you by HJ Plant Repairs. You're going to hear that a lot over the coming weeks as we bring you the next few rounds of this series. We do have a few format variations across the series as well, with some longer format races at some other tracks, which we will take you through during the changeover between these two sessions. Just starting to come across some of our lap traffic here, some of the guys that suffered unfortunately through those early incidents. So with 3 minutes to go here, Boyd bringing that BMW back around, and there is a little bit of a roadblock happening in front of him here that will not impress race control at all, but they are doing the right thing and trying to move over out of the way. Obviously, when they are being approached, they have a blue flag wave at them. Plenty of headlight flashing there, as well as there should be, to get those guys to move out of the way, with less than a second between our first and second place cars. The guys wanting to make sure that they can get on with it without too much of a delay caused by the slower cars there. So just want those guys to just move over to the right of the race line if they can, and get it done as well. Again, we've just seen a little bit of a hold up there, unfortunately, and fortunately though, no damage to our race leaders, but that has meant that the gap has closed up to half a second between these two cars. Always try and have a little bit of a gentleman's agreement there, or a racer's agreement, I should say, where the cars, you don't want to make a pass on another car if they're impeded, I should say, by a slower vehicle. So Trent Levis just doing the right thing there, and not making an attempt to pass Boyd after he got held up there on that lap. So minute 30 to go, with basically this then forming our last lap for this first race. So just Jack Boyd here trying to close this one out to take this to heat win, but it is the first win in this series. Having a dart to the inside there with our man Frank Hodak just moving to one side to let him through as they get around to complete this final lap of this first race. There's been too much of a drop off in pace here either. Last lap round we had a second covering our first 13 cars in terms of lap pace, so the guy's doing a really good job here to keep it interesting for us and keep the pressure on for the whole 25-minute race. So it's going to be good for 45 minutes to see these battles develop as we get into this series. So we just see Brad Clink move up into 9th, with Brady McHugh just falling rapidly down through the field. So he has run off track somewhere in the early part of his final lap, and unfortunately he'll be angry with himself losing some positions there as well. So congratulations here. Jack Boyd is going to bring this one around, constantly under pressure from Lavis in second, and he is going to take out the very first win of the Aus Pro-Am Sim Series, brought to you by HJ Plant Repairs. Congratulations, Jack Boyd. So what will happen from here with Trent Lavis in second and Brady Myers in third, we've got Jeff Connell in fourth, McMahon in fifth, Kuznetsov in sixth, with Heyman seventh, Bond eighth, Klink ninth, and McCulloch rounding out our top 10. So into the next race, they will line up as they finish. So this is a progressive grid format, which means that where you finish in race 1 is where you start in race 2. So what that means for us is we are going to have fixed fresh cars going into race 2. And those cars and those drivers who did put in those fast laps will definitely be wanting to make their way up to the front of the field as it's compressed under the start of the next race. But for this minute, let's focus on this man, Jack Boyd, part of the Boyd racing team, who has taken out our first race of the series here. Drove really well and got to take advantage of some early race shenanigans, shall we say, of the field in front of him, part of the waters, and then carried his race through to the end. So fantastic racing, Jack. Well done to you. And we now have a very short period where there is a 5-minute warm-up. So we're going to take the opportunity to take a very, very quick break here, and we will be back in a couple of minutes with the start of the second race.
And goals within the sim community. Race clean. This is the most important thing to progressing in any of the racing simulators out there. Be consistent and stay on your race line. Someone that is much faster will overtake you when they can. Moving off your line to get out of the way can cause more trouble than you think. Have fun. You will wreck quite a bit. Sometimes your fault, plenty of times not your fault. Learn from it. Wreck avoidance is key. Whether you're just starting out and wanting an entry grade setup, or have been in the sim scene for years and needing a well-deserved upgrade, simrigs.com is here to help. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. At Ferguson Group Media, we are a full-service marketing agency built for today. Day in, day out, we are about attracting attention to build brands. We believe that every business is a marketing and media business and should have access to a content creating machine. That's where we fit in. We also understand about extracting value from social media marketing and digital marketing. Video is king in producing content for your business. From it, all other forms of content can flow. We are set up to film, edit, and post-produce content at scale. This enables us to keep costs down, allowing small businesses to also access our products. Don't hesitate to reach out and chat about your content ideas. Your local digital marketing agency, Ferguson Group Media. There is an awful lot to learn, and it takes quite some time. Trying to work it all out on your own can be confusing and overwhelming. It can be super hard to get on the track, never mind being competitive. For me, I was lucky enough to get involved with a group of guys that were really fantastic and gave me a lot of knowledge and support. This helped me to progress with my skills and got me up to speed very quickly. After a solid 5 years honing my skills, I now feel I'm in a position to help others. So I'm all in on Virtual Motorsport Mentor and loving every moment. I created this platform to help drivers develop their skills and get the support and feedback they need to improve their drive lines, speed, setups, and more. My goal is to see you become the best driver you can be. The question is, how far do you want to take it? I look forward to helping you drive fast and win more. Chris, Virtual Motorsport Mentor. Would you like to get your brand in front of thousands of avid gamers? FGM eCast now has sponsorship packages available, so you can get your name in the stream and start getting the audience you deserve. Our productions are cinema and TV standard and will include everything you need to get an ad just like the ones you saw into our live streams and replays. Don't hesitate to reach out if you'd like to work together.
Thank you for watching another round of the Australian Endurance E-Championship, an FGM eCast production. We are super stoked to announce that we now have official series merchandise available on our website, so feel free to go over there and check it out. It's fgmecast.com/store. You can check out a whole bunch of cool designs there, from framed posters, caps and beanies, badges, phone cases, all the way up to zip-up hoodies. So we've got everything for every price point. Even if you've only got a few dollars there, you can just grab something small, and we'd really appreciate the support. If you really can't do anything like that at all, feel free to just share the stream and help us get the word out there. And of course, if you'd like to get involved as a racer or a sponsor, there's a form that you can complete on our website as well. So thanks so much again. Enjoy the rest of the race, and we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, everyone, and we are back. So, back for 45 minutes around Phillip Island. Thanks very much for sticking around as we just went through those sponsor messages. Obviously, without our sponsors, we would not be able to bring this to you. No different to our partners here with the Aus Pro Sim Series, brought to you by AJ Plant Repairs. So we're just going to go to the race grid here, and we will take you through what we are about to see. So as I said, this is the finishing order of our first race. It is a progressive grid. So we've got Jack Boyd, who drove extremely well to take out our first ever race win here in the Aus Pro Sim Series, followed by Trent Levis, who pressured him the whole way through. Brady Myers in third, Jeff Connell fourth, McMahon in fifth, Kuznetsov in 6th, with Heyman for Excalibur Esports in 7th, Miles Bond driving for Pace Syndicate in 8th, Brad Klink from the Redback Race Team in 9th, with McCulloch in 10th, Daniel Webster, Race Image Motorsport in 11th, followed by Glenn Firth, MF Tech in 12th position. As we head around, we do have a little bit to get through here because it is quite a big grid, so we will stick with our cars at this point in time. We'll jump on board with our leader as we continue to get through this grid. Beatty McHugh for Riot Sim Racing, with Luke Bergens from Tolman Motorsports in 14th. Bro. So we've got Luke Bergens in 13th, Matthew Catalioni in 14th, Gutland in 15th, Bolton in 16th, Sebastian Murray Westberg for Redback Race Team in 17th, Sam Lehman for Holding 93 Sim Sport in 18th, Hayden Jackson in 19th, with Van Tagliato in 20th. I will get these right. This is the first time I'm seeing some of these names this evening. We've got Philip Dalton in 21st, with Interisi in for the Triggered Racing Team in 22nd, Nathan Webber in 23rd, Paul Chapman in 24th, Glenn Boyd 25th, Buchanan in 26th for Zap DOS Racing. We've got Barvik in 27th, with Bartholomew in 28th, the Redback Racing Team well represented in this series. Simon Lartner in 29th, Scott Short in 30th, Matt Gray 31st. Our man Mr. Frank Hodak in 32nd, Sam Terrell in 33rd, Dwayne Voss in 34th, Rodney Hobbs 35th, Jeffrey Wang 36th, and we do have one out for this race. So we're just waiting for the lights to go green. The guys will, the pace car will pull off the track as they make their way around, and we will get into this one for a 45-minute race and see if Jack Boyd can take out this second race of the series. So bring around there. We'll just leave the start lights on the screen. We are under the control of race control. The pack groups up here. They are watching for anyone who might be holding back a little bit to get a bit of a run in. You can see all the cars there back in pristine condition. The pit crews would have been fairly busy during the post-race there. So we're on board with Jack Boyd. We're waiting for the lights to go green, and the red light's on, and there we go. We are green and racing. The lights a little bit behind there. And we're down into turn 1 with, there is again, 4 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide down into turn 1. Just doing a casual 180, 190 k's an hour down there, 4 wide. And we've got one off track there. We've got another car just run wide as well, with Catalleone running wide going around through turn 2 along with Brad Klink. You can see him out in the background there. There's more off in the background. As these guys will try and make their way through this cleanly and clearly as you want your skin to be. That is the objective through the first early part of this race. We have seen there that Van Tagliato has had an accident in this early part of this race, and Jack Boyd out to an early start. There's also been another accident a little bit further back, which has involved 4 of our drivers, Buchanan, Barvik, Short and Thurtell, along with Gray and Voss as well. So plenty for our race organisers to review at the end of this race already, and we are not even 1 lap in. We'll try and bring you some of the replays for that one a little bit later on, just as we see what happens in the early part of this lap. So we do have Boyd out in front, and he is running. He's 7 seconds, a whopping 7 seconds in front of our second place Lavis, who was right behind him at the start of, at the end, I should say, of our last race, and put the pressure on. But he's dropped off a little bit here, and we'll come back and have a look as to why that may be the case. Sounds like he's struggling there, actually, with potentially maybe a gearbox issue in that car. We'll just try and pick that up. Just sounds like the car is turning off and he's coasting around the track. So, and he certainly is. He slowed right down there. So he's got some sort of issue. Sounds like the car's off, and we have got a pace car. So, all right. So we're not actually clued in to race control at this point in time. So I imagine, given the damage that happened at the start of this race, they have called this safety car in to just regroup the field and get that done. What that does is gives us an opportunity. We'll just jump back and have a look at this early crash here, so you guys can all see what was going on. So we'll jump back here with we're on board with Brady Buchanan. Is it going to bring up this replay for us? Yeah, it is there. So we'll just restart that one there so we can actually focus on what was going on. So it was a little bit further in front of him that the damage started. So under brakes here, they've all bunched up, and you can see there that there's just been a punch, and someone's come to a complete stop on the track. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but that shouldn't be the case. So just jump back live on board with everyone. You can see there he's got back out on track, and that may have actually even been under the pace car that happened. So more damage to the cars. Yeah, and it has brought that up there. So more damage to the cars as they've gone through. You'll see a number of the cars peel off into pit lane here and just carry out a few repairs while they can there. Yeah, and indeed, I think a lot of them are also going to take on or top up fuel. So 45 minutes around here, these cars won't have enough fuel to do the full stint without stopping him for a pit. So just taking advantage of that pit lane situation and pulling in to refuel the cars. So we'll jump on board with the leader here, which is effectively Kuznetsov, but he will need to head through the pits. So effectively out of sync now with the other drivers in the field. fantastic looking car there that's that he's put together actually. So the colour scheme of that one's looking good. We do enjoy having a look through the different liveries that the drivers put together for these. And for those of you who have joined us tonight, thank you very much for your support and joining our stream. We greatly appreciate it too. So just watching here, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of our cars through the pit lane. They will have taken on fuel there. So that drops Jack Boyd and Jeff Connell right back into the pack, now sitting down in 13th and 14th respectively. The lights on the safety car are still on, so I expect that we will have one more lap under the pace car at this interval. So, just waiting for the sim order to update here. Miles Bond in second place. Don't be surprised if he cuts and runs here in that BMW to try and get a gap and get out to something that will allow him to take his pit stop and not lose too much time in the process. So we are going to do one more lap under the safety car. So a lot of these guys will be trying to conserve as much fuel as they can to minimise the impact on their pit stops later on in the race. Certainly shorten the duration of those pit stops as well. So particularly in races like this, you can have cars that will conserve fuel to the point where it will allow them to certainly maintain their lead and their gap in the field, and ultimately try and take themselves through to a race win, or certainly use pit strategy to improve the outcome for themselves. So some of the drivers will be trying to get that to happen for them just by running in a lower gear and seeing if they can save. Might only be a few millilitres, but that can make the difference, particularly if they're fuel saving for a majority of the race. So while they're doing that, it's a good opportunity for us to again mention our broadcast partners, AFTERSHOCK PC. If you are in the market for a gaming PC or a PC of any nature, AFTERSHOCK PC are a local Melbourne company who build custom PCs. I'm broadcasting to you from one now, and the guys certainly understand computers and everything that you need to achieve. If you tell them what you're trying to do with a computer, they can certainly recommend the right thing for you to make sure that you can get the job done, but also extraordinarily good in the customer service side of things as well. So jump on and have a look and see if they can help you out if you are in the market for a new PC. And also Virtual Motorsport Mentor, a big participant and a big supporter of a lot of sim racing around the traps. Chris and his team are the guys that you want to go and see to. Everyone has a coach, and that is certainly what Chris provides if you are getting into esports. He can help you make yourself quicker. As we see the lights go out on that safety car, and we will head back around and get this race back underway. We've got just on around about 38 minutes to go in this race. Actually, around 35 minutes to go as they get round to past the start-finish line. Just waiting for the green flag to get this one back underway. Great to see the guys all formed up here and ready to go, and the flag will drop, and it is off, and we're off and racing again. and wait for this one to get 4 or 5 cars wide as we head back down into turn 1. There'll be cold tyres. How are we looking? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's some accident damage back in the back there. Hopefully that doesn't result in too much damage or another yellow flag, but you can see as you're watching there is a little bit of swerving going on, and unfortunately as a result there's always going to be contact as Kuznetsov tries to get away and make a gap for himself. Miles Bond trying to go with him, with Michalek certainly hooked onto the back of this group. And then once again we have a good solid pack of half a dozen cars covered by a second as we get this restart underway. Watching off into the distance there, it looks like everyone got through turn 4. Very neat and tidy. Thanks very much for the stars there, Reese. We really appreciate those. 7 weeks straight contributing to our broadcast. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. As we've got Kuznetsov, who is heading up into Lukey Heights for the first time. This could be treacherous. Watch as these cars spread wide and try and use the braking or outbraking of one another to make a pass down into that corner. As I said before, if you get it wrong, you end up with your car in the trailer park. No pun intended at all. That is where the trailer park is, just behind that turn there. So as Kuznetsov does get around to complete the first of our laps out of yellow flag territory, as we head around and see, unfortunately, we are back under safety car conditions, and I have a feeling that we're going to be able to tell you why. Head back to the, just try and grab a replay here. That's taking us back down into turn 4. And yeah, you can see a big spin around there, and then just jumping around out of Lukey Heights has obviously been another issue for someone here. We're on board with Brady Buchanan. Oh wow, yeah, big accident, and that is why they've called the yellow flag. With how many you've got there? 1, 2, 3, 4 cars involved in that one. We'll just run that one back from the start now that we know what we're looking at. So you can see it is Buchanan here, who's through in the middle. And how does he just jump on the gas too early there? No, wow, he's had another one come straight across in front of him. That's no fault at all of his, as he's running that Charlie, the unicorn livery on his car. And he's had to jump out of that one and head back into the pit. So lots of damage there, unfortunately, and that has been the cause of our more recent safety car period. So no changes for the lead at the front there, with Kuznetsov and Bond getting around cleanly to the start of the lap here. And I think we've just had one of our cars drop out there. Just trying to jump back on board here. I've not jumped into the pit lane, so I'm not too sure what has happened there, but it looks like we've lost 2 of our drivers from the front of this field. So I've just caught back up with that there. So we're actually on board with Dean Michalek, and there's Miles Bond reappearing on track. They're just blinking there, so that is an internet-related issue for themselves. Miles is out of Adelaide, so there's every chance that that's the dial-up playing up. But at the moment, probably not a great place to be throwing stones at from in Victoria as we struggle through our issues as well. But you can see both of them have come back on stream there now, which is good. We don't want to have any of our drivers miss out on participating in this one purely because of technology issues, albeit, as it can be in real racing, you know, you run out of fuel and you get stuck out on the track. There are issues with real race cars, and these are just the sim racing versions of those issues. Just jump on board with Luke Bergens here. There's basically only McLaren on the track at the moment. A fantastic looking car, but a little bit aged in our field here, as I was hoping with. You can see those massive flames coming out of the back of the McLaren there. I haven't seen one of those in real life racing do that, but we love the fact that they've added that into iRacing. It looks fantastic. It reminds me of the V8 supercars of the mid and late 90s with the overrun on the gear change there. So we see a couple of our cars pull into pit lane to again take advantage of this safety car period. We'll be in it for around about 3 laps if the last safety car period is anything to judge by. Looking out for the lights on that pace car to head off, and then we will know that we're back under racing. So you can see there the lights on that Porsche still firmly illuminated, letting by some of our lap cars, or the cars that are in the pack that are lapped to head back around and rejoin at the back of the grid. A few pit stops going on in the background there. Drivers will just make their way around here. If you are watching the stream and you're enjoying what you're seeing, we'd love it if you could give our broadcast a share. If not, if you feel so inclined, drop us a comment, say hello, and let us know that you're there. Thank you to those joining us on Twitch as well, as we do broadcast on Twitch and Facebook, as well as YouTube, and soon to be Caffeine as well. If you are interested in getting some exposure for your business, have you ever considered joining one of our broadcasts? So we do have vacancies on some of our other streams for broadcast partners. So if you're looking to get exposure to a committed audience of viewers, then drop us a line, Stuart at fgmecast.com, and we make tailor-made packages for you to expose your brand to a new and dedicated audience. So drop us a line, and hopefully we can put something together to help grow your brand. So we come down through Hay Shed, literally named because there's a shed there that used to hold some hay back in the day, and then make our way up. I'm just waiting to see if the lights on the safety car go out, as we expect that they will. So still half a dozen cars, and in particular this lead pack, that haven't done their pit stop as yet. So we'll see if they drop in, as we're going around once more for another safety car lap. So we'll see if they drop in to get their pit stop out of the way. I think they're preferring to hold position at the moment in this one, just to see what might go on. So the lights are out on that safety car, so this will be our final lap under the pace car, albeit we are only a third of the way through as we head down into turn 4. Definitely a few connection issues for some of our cars blinking on and off the screen here, so hopefully that doesn't affect them as they get through this race. So we don't want to see anyone dropping out of the race because they've got internet connectivity issues. Obviously, while we just wait for this to get around, it was good to see some real motorsport happening again around the world over the weekend. We were spoilt with bikes, some GT racing, which was streamed live on YouTube from the Nürburgring, where the weather was about as good as it is in Victoria this evening. Bleak, blistering, bitter conditions, I should say, in the Nürburgring. Obviously, we had the Formula 1 at Silverstone again. So good to see some motorsport and a little bit of that sort of stuff getting back on our screens as the lights are out on this one. They've made their way over Lukey Heights. It is Kuznetsov who is in control of this field effectively. We're waiting for the flag to drop, obviously, and for this one to kick back off again. We've had 4 wide down into turn 1 on our last 2 starts, so hopefully they give us a little bit of that again, but for me and maths, not necessarily my strong point, but certainly I know that 4 into 1 certainly doesn't generally work at any racetrack. Any racetrack I can think of at all, really. 4 cars wide is just enormous. So let's see what happens here. Hopefully we can keep it clean and get some good consecutive clean racing in as we go back racing again, and we are under green flag. There's some movements back in the field already. They'll probably be investigated by racing, but I can hear bumping and crunching, and yet we've got another 3 cars off And I can tell you now, there will be some retribution from race control for this. They want the drivers to try and keep it clean, and they've unfortunately not been able to do that as we've got through this second of our race restarts after another yellow flag period. They haven't called a yellow flag at this point in time, so hopefully it hasn't affected too many races, and we can keep this one running with Kuznetsov and Bond trying to get out in front here, but Jackson sticking onto the back of them, followed by Miles and Bergens, who is in that McLaren that we had a look at during the yellow flag period. There's a couple of cars flashing on and off back in the backtrack, which can cause race incidents as well. So we'll keep an eye on the screen and see if anything does come of that. But at this stage, it is our two race leaders, Kuznetsov and Bond, trying to break away from the rest of the pack and using the aero advantage that they will get from being that close behind one another to make that break in the pack. Bond, very experienced racing around this track as well, so he'll know how to set it up to try and make his way past Kuznetsov. If he can actually do that, if he's close enough, he will get the job done. I have no question at all. But Kuznetsov has just managed to get better drive out of turn 11 there and make his way round onto the main straight. So at this point in time, even with the draft, Bond probably not going to be in a position to try and do anything by the time they reach turn 1, as we see the rest of the pack making their way back down the hill here as the drivers come through into turn 2. So this is a double apex corner. It can get you wrong if you don't brake early enough and get the double apex right. You can't get the car turned back in early enough to get on the gas, and you will lose out as they head down towards turn 4. It can be distracting when you're driving there in real life as you get your first glimpse out over the water as you head around there down into this turn 4. The big dive there from Brady Myers back down in the pack, and he has managed to get that done with Hayden Jackson giving him racing room to make sure that there was no incident for them there. So Myers moving up into third place there with a really solid, strong move on Hayden Jackson. As we head back through the field there, we've got Luke Bergens in 5th, Webster in 6th, Heyman in 7th, with Firth in 8th. Fantastic Motorsport name, that one in Australia. Cartleone in 9th, and Nathaniel Webber rounding out our top 10 at this point in time. Fastest man on the track is our race leader, Rick Kuznetsov, in that BMW. Great to see a little bit of variety in our top 10 as well. Now, do remember that we have drivers here who have not taken a pit stop as yet. Brady Myers is our first driver on track, the car that we're on screen with at the moment, who has completed a pit stop. So, will he be fueled to the end or not? Will he need to conserve fuel to make it through the end of this race, which has just over 22 minutes left to go before its conclusion? Miles Bond here putting in the fastest first sector of the race so far with a 28.27, and using that to make up the gap on the back of Kuznetsov to apply pressure as we get round to the back end of the track here down into Siberia, called such because it is in the middle of nowhere. So head up through Hayshed, looking to climb up Lukey Heights here, and off camber left-hander with slight brake, get the car turned in. Got to really hug that curb to maximise the speed that you can carry through that corner and not run wide into the as they go over Lukey Heights. To bring this one round to get towards completing the end of lap 10 of this race. We have had the race affected by 2 short safety periods, so only around about 4 laps of actual race running. As Kuznetsov has opened up just around a 1 second lead here over Bond. These two cars still needing to potentially take a pit stop as they get through this race. Let's jump on board here with this battle with Tom Heyman in the Century sponsored BMW, just fighting with Luke Bergens in the McLaren. and getting the job done. Bergen's there just oh geez, wow, just almost running straight into him there, which has caused Heyman to run a little bit wide there, and Bergen's to take back that position. So we'll keep an eye on this battle here as it progresses. I know there's some people on the stream who are interested in how Tom Heyman is performing, so we'll just stick with this battle as it remains close between the Bergen's McLaren and the Heyman BMW as they make their way towards Lukey Heights. Down into the braking zone, getting the car straight, jumping on the brakes. To head back around onto the straight, and Heyman will be trying, if he can, to get the draft, which he should be able to benefit from and potentially set himself up for a move down into turn 1. The straight line speed of that BMW will be affected a slight amount by the damage on that car, as we saw someone exiting the pit lane there as well, which probably didn't help matters too much for him. So try and close the gap up here as we head through turn 2 and 3. Make the turn 2 as we make the run down towards turn 4, which will be his next opportunity to pass. He'll be hoping to get on the gas early and use the draft to his advantage here. I'm sure Heyman will be looking to pull down the inside if he can, and no, obviously just not quite close enough to get that job done there, with Carleone closing up on the back of him as a consequence. So potentially here, Bergen's just slightly holding up the in the McLaren, holding up the BMW. Just working out here with the McLaren where its strongest part is around this track, and definitely actually quicker through this sector too, so through this back section of the track, which is what is affecting the BMW from being able to take advantage or be close enough at the end here. Carleone looking for a way by at the moment in that Mercedes-Benz as well, so we're certainly on the right cars for the action there. As you see, we've got Heyman just ducking off into the pits to make his pit stop and get that done. So Kuznetsov has set off into the distance here. He is 1.5 seconds in front of Brady Myers, who has moved up into second place, taking that from Miles Bond, who is sitting in third, potentially trying to conserve a little bit of fuel to make sure he gets through to the end of this race. The gap there, second to third, just on half a second. That did happen while we were covering that close battle there for 5th, 6th and 7th, just behind this group. Hayden Jackson just out there in 4th position in a comfortable spot. He is around about 2 seconds further back down the road from this battle, but has some breathing room to that battle that we were covering for 5th, 6th and 7th. Hodak, get a notification there that Hodak has just pulled into the pits as well. Just on 17 minutes to go in this race. Do stick around at the end of the race. We'll have the top 3 drivers from this feature race in the com box for a chat after the race. It'll be interesting to get their perspective on how the track was and how things went for them during this longer event. So there's a solid group of cars back here, just trying to highlight some of these battles through the pack. We've got 4 cars here covered by less than a second as well, so on board with Steve Bartholomew here. Andrew Gatlin just up the road, but the draft here really helping. So Bartholomew just defending from McMahon with Brad Klink and the other Ford directly behind him. So see how this battle fares with such a close slot between the 3 cars. You can see 4 or 5 cars on screen at the same time there, which is good close racing for us to watch. So we'll stick with this battle here again, as well as we just see there a little bit of a dive, but well defended. So nothing on there for McMahon, as he just sort of stuck the nose down the inside a little bit to have a cheeky look, just to see if he might get away or manage to make a way through into that braking zone. That GT of Bartholomew running those fantastic high shine metallic wheels that the guys are able to option onto these cars. They do all the liveries themselves, or they get someone to make the livery, but the liveries are all custom made on these vehicles. Colours, sponsorship logos, wheel colours, etc. So all of these cars looking very cool and looking very smart. That Ford in a sleek black with those metallic wheels. So good job done by them there. Not necessarily the most popular car, the GT either. So it's good to see the guys bringing some variety to the pack. So that it's not an all Bavarian Motorworks style affair with running, the McLaren and what have you. A little bit of a lock-up there as well for, I believe it was Andrew Gatland. And we just got a car off track there too with Brady Myers just running wide through turns 2 and 3. See if there's any dive under brakes here. Probably not quite close enough. No, there is there as well, as McMahon gets the job done on Bartholomew in that GT. So moving up behind his teammate there, although we've got Bartholomew holding line there and getting the job back done on the inside. So albeit getting it done into turn 4, holding the line for turn 5 and through turn 6 has allowed that GT to stay in 11th position. I can tell you as well now that the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th is still extremely alive. We've got less than half a second covering those 3 positions right in front of this battle pack that we're covering now as well. So fantastic racing here, albeit we did have a little bit of incident as these guys get used to racing on track altogether. With the numbers in this field, the racing is close and extremely competitive. So the guys definitely putting on a fantastic show for us here tonight at Phillip Island in the state of Victoria. So we'll just duck a little bit further back down the pack here. And as we just see that Steve Bartholomew runs wide there, unfortunately for him, and that means that he is going to lose a whole host of positions. So Ian McMahon there moving up into 11th position, down 6 places from his starting position in this race, but just trying to make that up now as he's behind Glenn Firth in his sister car BMW as well. So just over, we've got 12 minutes to go in this race. So around, what are we looking at there? Probably around about 8 laps of racing left if there is no safety car period in the time that remains. So while this one's spread out a little bit, we'll just jump on board with Luke Bergens here in this McLaren, who is still defending that 6th position there from Brady Myers. What that has meant is Trent Lavis has made his way off into the distance a little bit. Just having a look back at where our race 1 winner is as well. So Jack Boyd currently down in 14th as Brady Myers gets the job done on Luke Bergen around the outside at turn 1. So some good driving there, which moves Brady Myers back up into 6th outright. So he's now in pursuit of this man, Trent Lavis, who did finish our first race in 2nd position. Unfortunately, suffering a little bit of damage. Looks like someone has run into him at the back there as we just see Jeffrey Wang off the track there. But did cop a little bit of damage early in this 2nd race, which has resulted in him, unfortunately, falling down the grid. But he's doing a great job in getting his way back up now, just 3 places behind his starting position of 2nd on the grid. Matthew Cartiglione doing a fantastic job as well. He is up into 4th as our highest placed Mercedes-Benz, and certainly in the BMW sandwich with him trying to chase down Hayden Jackson in 3rd. And there's obviously been something go on there that we have missed. There has been. So we've actually had a change for the lead. Miles Bond now out in front, and I apologise. I have missed that while I was caught up in the battle. That's only just happened. So Bond in the lead there with, it looks like Kuznetsov having made a mistake. We didn't get any notification that he had run wide, so I'm not entirely sure where that has happened in this race, but certainly in the last lap he was down significantly in sector 1, 5 seconds. So I would say what's happened there is he's probably run wide at turn 2, and that has allowed Miles Bond to capitalise on that and move into the lead of this race. He now has a 1.5 second lead over Kuznetsov. Hayden Jackson in third, with Matt Cardaleone in fourth, as we were following when we discovered this change. So a new race leader for this second race of the series thus far. So the relative lap times of these two cars similar. So it's going to be difficult for Kuznetsov to close the gap on Bond here, as long as Bond can keep putting in the consistent laps that he has been doing, then he's in a good position here with 9 minutes to go to take out our second race and our feature race of this first round of the Aus Pro Sim series, brought to you by HJ Plant Repairs. So Miles Bond will be trying to maximise the gap as much as he can. What he won't want is for Kuznetsov to get into the draft and allow him to make that horsepower gain, in inverted commas, that you do get from sitting in the draft behind another car, particularly down the main straight here at Phillip Island. Hayden Jackson's done a fantastic job in this race. He is up a whopping 17 positions from his race start in 20th, sitting in third. So a great job for Hayden Jackson there to achieve that in such a packed field of cars. He's done a fantastic job to keep his nose clean, and thoroughly deserves his current third place at the moment. Round a second in front of Matt Cardaleone, who is behind him, but Matt's last lap was faster, so he is chasing him down. The question is, with 8 minutes to go, so roughly looking at around about 5 laps, will he be able to chase him down, as the gap here between Bond and Kuznetsov does close to within a second, with Kuznetsov getting a better drive out of that turn 12 into 13 here. He may well be within the draft. So we'll jump on board with Miles Bond here. We'll just jump on the back and see, as we do, whether or not we get an idea on Kuznetsov closing in. Not quite making too much of a straight line impact there on the gap back to Bond, but you can see him here closing up on the back of Bond. So with the cars similar, obviously, in setup there, gap sort of just maintaining it around about that 3/4 of a second. It's closing right up here as we head down into turn 4, and the gap now returning with a little bit squirmy under acceleration there for Kuznetsov, and that's allowed Miles Bond just to open that gap up slightly. But I think what we will see here is that gap, particularly as we get over Lukey Heights, closing down. So we might just jump on board with the blimp here so that you can have a quick look at how that gap closes up as we head up the hill and into the braking zone. Both drivers keeping nice and tight. You can see all the marbles on the outside of the track there. That is definitely not where you want to be. So highlighted even more so there. Wow, look at all that rubber left on the track from this race. Cardaleone has closed right up on the back of Jackson in the battle for 3rd and 4th. So with this gap here heading out just on 3/4 of a second still, we're going to jump on board and have a look at Jackson and Cardaleone, because there will be the assist of the draft here. And don't be too surprised if Cardaleone chucks it down the inside if it's not defended properly as we head down into turn 1. That Mercedes-Benz enjoying the big hole punched in the air by the BMW as it closes up now. Not quite close enough for him to try and get that job done. The gap to our leader there, you can see just onto the left-hand side of the screen, is still close and closing. 0.57 of a gap. So we'll jump back on board with this lead battle here. Just stick with this view for a bit. It gives us a fantastic look at this Phillip Island circuit. Gives you a good understanding of how the cars close up on one another. Bond defending heavily there, which is interesting given how far back Kuznetsov would have had to come from to make that move stick, but obviously feeling the pressure and understanding that he does need to try and defend his position here as Kuznetsov continues to close the gap to Bond in the lead of this race with just over 5 minutes left to go here at Phillip Island. Gap widens as they head up through here, through past Hayshed, make the climb up to Lukey Heights, and then down into this real sensitive braking zone where you've got to get it all right, got to get the car stopped and turned in so that you can finish the lap strongly by jumping on the accelerators quickly. Oh, there's a 3 wide battle back there, and Cardelloni has managed to make a pass there for the lead as Myers has joined that battle, and we've actually got 4 cars covered by a second there as we've had one pull into pit lane, which is the Hayden Jackson BMW. So there's a lot of closing up done there, and that has resulted in Cardelloni heading off into the distance in 3rd place. We've just jumped on board there. Myers heading down the inside of Lavis in the battle for 4th and 5th. This battle's been raging for a while, and it's actually the combination of 2 groups of cars sorting itself out. Miles Bond there spreading the gap a little bit now, 3/4 of a second, just over 4 minutes to go, so still looking around 3 laps left in this one, and the gap there has stabilised a little bit, so Miles hopefully probably breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief there to have that gap open up just slightly. So just jumping back on board with Kuznetsov here as he makes the climb up over Lukey Heights and down into the braking zone. Still not quite close enough to get it done, but really preparing the car for the jump out of that corner as we head around through turns 12 and 13 to get back onto the main straight. Really wanting to be in the draft there. 0.6, 0.7 the gap's now out to, as both of them have pulled into pit lane to serve their compulsory stop. So that will mean that this man here, Matt Cardelloni, is in the lead of this race. He has completed his compulsory stop with just on 3 minutes to go. Those guys could not manage fuel long enough to take out this race win. So we have now our effective 1, 2, 3 at this point in time. Cardelloni followed by Myers, followed by Lavis. Lavis, our 2nd place getter in race 1. So this is the battle we want to focus on as Lavis does run a little wide and he has crashed. He has gone wide at turn 2 and unfortunately for him, in fact I think he might have even gone narrow at turn 2 and it looks like he's hit the safety barrier there. We'll just quickly bring you a replay of that. We don't want to lose focus of this main race. So what's happened to him here? So he's gone into the braking zone. No, he has. He's run really wide. Oh, yeah, and then he's looped it. So he's looped it round onto the inside of the track there and tried to keep it going, but unfortunately with the traffic coming around behind him, it meant that he has unfortunately dropped out of that 2nd place position. Which means this man in the McLaren, the unfavoured, unloved car in this grid, is currently in 3rd place. Luke Bergens. We will come around now. The leader's crossing the line. They're going to get across the line in time for us to do 2 more laps in this race. So at 1:28 a lap, provided they drop the flag, cross the line, sorry, at less than 1:28, which they will, we're going to definitely get around for 1 more lap. And in fact, we probably will have 2 laps, including this one, to get done in this race. So this battle now heating up as he's going to run wide. He's run real wide, Myers, and he has spun. He has spun, and that will have cost him 2nd place there as Luke Bergens in that McLaren moves up into 2nd. Daniel Webster up into 3rd. Myers there just dropping his left-hand rear wheel off over the ripple strip, and that has resulted, unfortunately, in him losing the back end of his BMW, and now Matt Cardelloni has a 5-second gap back to Luke Bergens in 2nd, and we've got Daniel Webster currently in 3rd. Webster under a little bit of pressure here from Ian McMahon. This is the closest battle that we have on track at the moment. Matty Hill, thanks very much for your comment there. Tom Heyman doing a great job back in 11th. He did start this one out towards the front of the field, but unfortunately has dropped back a little bit in the pack there. But he has had 2 solid drives. He'll finish inside the top 10 in this second race as well. So this battle for third is close. Waiting to see if McMahon tries to stick it down the inside there. No, he does not. So as we get across the start-finish line again now, just jump on board with our race leader. How is he going to go? He's definitely going to get one more lap in. So we have 1 lap to go in this first 45-minute race of the series. And it's been a cracker. We've had lots of close racing back through the field. As it looks like Bergens has not been able to save enough fuel to get that McLaren home in second place. So again, the field readjusts, and the Mercedes at this point of Cartaglione certainly looking the favourite to take out first position. He is 8 seconds in front of this battle for second and third, waiting in the wings behind Webster and McMahon, as well as Lavis, who is praying that they might outbrake or they might do something that will result in them being able to lose a spot to him and make his way onto the podium in this second race. Down to the braking zone at turn 4, getting the cars turned, getting out of there as quickly as you can. This is where you make up a little bit of time, but it's these next 2 corners that really sets up your lap. You need to get the car turned in, get on the gas as early as you can, really use as much of the corner as you can to straighten it out, the exit, and maximise your exit speed. So just with Webster there dropping in and out as well, so that makes it a little bit more difficult for McMahon to execute a pass behind him, as obviously once he disappears off the screen, as McMahon trying all over the back of Webster there, who's defending heavily on the inside of that corner to try and make sure that nothing happens. We're going to have a cracking finish here, as Matt Cortleone does take away the race win here to jump across, and well done to him. Series organiser, fantastic result for him to take out the race win. Quickly jump back on board with this one. We will go back as Webster and McMahon head towards the finish line. This is going to be a really close finish. Is it? Who's going to know? And it is Webster, who does just get there and takes that one out by 0.04 of a second. So a fantastic finish between these 2 cars here, as close, almost as close as you can get, and well driven on the last couple of laps there for Daniel Webster and Ian McMahon. They will join us in the combox once they bring their cars around. Congratulations though to Matt Cartaglione, who brings home his first race win in this series. We've had 2 races so far, and 2 separate race winners. So Mercedes 1-2, followed by BMW Ian McMahon. Then we had Lavis in 4th, Firth in 5th, Myers in 6th, who was leading or was challenging for the lead until that late off-track cost him that chance. Scott Short in 7th, Brad Klink in 8th, with McCulloch in 9th, Heyman 10th, Boyd in 11th, Bond in 12th, Bartholomew in 13th, with Kuznetsov in 14th, Connell in 15th, and Barvik 16th, Lehman 17th, Murray Westberg 18th, Bolton 19th, and rounding out our top 20 is Brady Buchanan. What a finish. What a great race for the second race of the Aus Pro Sim Series, brought to you by HJ Plant Repairs, broadcast live here on FGM eCast. We couldn't have asked for a better start to this series, with 2 really, really good contests even for the first and second races of our series. So happy to be able to bring this one to you, and we will grab our race 2 winners in for a little bit of a chat in a few minutes. While we're doing that, it's a good time for us to bring up where we're headed to next with this one. So next Tuesday evening, we're headed to Mid-Ohio Sports Park, which is a similar circuit if you're looking for it. If you're not aware of what the circuit's like, very similar to Oran Park in Australia, if you remember Oran Park. So lots of tight off-camber corners, and that's going to be a challenge. If we get a field of 43 cars again next week, that's going to be extremely hotly contested. We then head to Barcelona for an enduro race in round 3. We will share the calendar on our social media channel, so if you are interested to find out where we're headed next and what else is going on in this series, then jump on there and we will have that information there for you. Just waiting for our drivers to jump into the combox with us here so we can have a chat with them, particularly about that finish there as well. What a finish it was. So some other exciting tracks here as well. We are headed to Road America, one of my favourite tracks, along with Spa throughout this journey as we get through this series. And then, of course, we would conclude an Australian sim series by heading to Mount Panorama Bathurst for the end of this one. So we do have all of the podium finishers just joined us here in the combox, and congratulations, guys! What a great second race, Matt. Probably a fitting place for you to finish at the end of this one, taking out the first main race win for the series. Congratulations! How did you find it?
Yeah, thanks, Stu. A little bit bittersweet, I think. I think everyone raced pretty hard. There was a couple of the first race I thought was really good. Obviously, for the big field that we have, the incidents were quite low, so I was pretty happy with that. Race 2 was a little bit of contact from everyone. Sorry if I think maybe I even nicked Daniel at some point, so I'm sorry about that, Daniel. But I was having a really good battle with Brady Myers, I think on the second last lap, and I was just trying to really hug the inside curb to give him some space, and I just it's very bumpy through there, and we touched and unfortunately sent him off. So it was a bit unfortunate. I feel like I didn't deserve the win because of that, but I appreciate everyone racing really hard, and seeing 40 odd cars go through T1 was nothing short of incredible. Like how they pretty much got all through there on lap 1 of race 1. 40 odd cars through the field was nuts. So look, we're working hard at trying to come up with solutions to some of the problems. Like it's a nice problem to have so many people in the series, but we've also then got to figure out how to make it a little bit cleaner and maybe refine our safety car restart procedures and stuff. But all in all, I think everyone put in a really good effort, and we'll work on it for round 2. But I just want to thank everyone, especially the podium, Ian and Daniel. Well done, guys. Really good effort, and thanks for your efforts, Stu.
No problems at all. That look, and certainly from our perspective, 4 wide into turn 1, which is pretty much where it was at, was awesome to see. And I think overall, certainly with such a fantastic field joining the series for the first time around, unfamiliar drivers to one another as well. I think everyone did reasonably well. So congratulations to the organisers as well for the depth of the field, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the series brings, particularly if our second and third place getters in race 2, Daniel Webster and Ian McMahon, have anything to do with it. 0.4 of a second, guys, at the finish line there. Daniel and Ian, some fantastic racing for us to watch in those last couple of laps. We'll start with you firstly. Daniel, you did some fantastic defending of your position there, and how'd you feel as you got to the finish line?
Yeah, I was stressed. That's the best way. I'm probably sweating a fair bit, but yeah, it was a good race. I just sort of pitted at the right time and stayed out of the carnage at the start, and I knew I didn't quite really have the pace with the front guys, so when they caught me, I just sort of let them pass and tried to hang on the back of them, and eventually some of them had to pit, and it just all worked out pretty well in the end. And luckily there was only one lap I had to defend Ian, so it was a good race.
And Ian, you were so close. You made your way through the field after some early setbacks, and obviously getting through the pit situation as well there. So you had a really great drive, and just falling just short there. But you must be pleased with the start to the series for you. So I don't think we've quite got Ian there. I'm not sure if he's having issues with his mic, but certainly finishing 0.04 behind second place. Watch back the coverage there, and see how close that really looks. So certainly had a good variation of race leaders throughout the race as well in that second race. And our second place getter, Trent Levis, made his way back up as well. Matty, 14 spots up. We had some other guys move well in excess of 20 spots up the field throughout the race. So keeping it clean and consistent certainly paid off for those drivers. And I can't wait to see what Mid-Ohio brings next week with that many cars on the track. It's going to be mental around there. It's such a small track. I was just likening it for our viewers to Oran Park, or the old Oran Park circuit, in terms of the off-camber corners and stuff like that. So that's going to be an exciting one for us to bring to the viewers next week.
Stu, sorry I missed you earlier.
Oh, there you are, Ian. Beautiful.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I had to change headsets, and the headset preset that I had for the event was one I quickly switched out, left connected, and that's what Discord here had for the interview. So I really apologise for that.
Oh, no problems at all. Fantastic.
Would you like me to pick up on your question earlier?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, fantastic finish from you.
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, congratulations to Matthew and Daniel. Great result. And to the series organisers, you couldn't ask for a better series. Great sponsors, great coverage. I'm looking forward to hopefully watching it back later. But as you mentioned with Daniel, I was caught in a couple of incidents earlier on in the race. I had a similar strategy to Daniel. I pitted during that safety car, knowing that I'd have to pace myself. And then unfortunately, there was a bit of carnage on that second restart, and I dropped right to the back. But really good event, and that last couple of laps trying to peg in Daniel and then trying to make a move in the last lap. It's an endurance race. It's a long series as well, so I didn't want to do anything silly. And we had a great dice. I'm looking forward to it, more of it as the series goes on.
Yeah, and as I was saying before, I think with that many cars, given the amount of this that we watch, particularly with full grids, you're always going to unfortunately have at a track like Phillip Island, and that's why Mid-Ohio next week is going to be mouth-watering to see. But you're always going to have that little bit at those restarts before everyone sort of settles into their groove. So I think generally everyone did really well, and it was certainly great for us to be able to bring across. Certainly it would be remiss, particularly as a competitor, but more so importantly as one of the businesses that helps us bring this series to the public, that we have to mention our sponsors for this event. So obviously, first and foremost, we did give some coverage to D&O Building Services, who gave us a prize for our pole sitter tonight, and also to HJ Plant Repairs as the series sponsor for this event. So a big thank you to both of our sponsors for contributing to the series and helping to make it what it is, and certainly to the event organisers. It's definitely one of the best starts to a series that we've brought. So well done to everyone involved in that. So as I mentioned, we are heading off to Mid-Ohio next week. Same place, same time, so 7:40 Australian Eastern Standard Time for you who are following the series there. Keep an eye across our social pages. We will update you on the point situation as a consequence of tonight's two races, as well as keeping you up to date on everything that's going on the FGM eCast network. We have plenty of car racing to follow for you this week. With actually, it's not all just car racing. We do have our retro gaming night coming to tomorrow night, potentially COVID affected, not in the wrong way, but we may not be able to broadcast that, just depending on what happens in Victoria as of tomorrow. But definitely after that, we take it back to 1987 and bring you some NASCAR racing. And we are heading to Talladega tomorrow night, so that I cannot wait for. Those cars are insane. 340 kilometers an hour, no aero, no power steering, basically nothing of anything other than a seat and a steering wheel. So can't wait to bring you that pack tomorrow night. And then we have Super GT Thursday on Thursday night, where we have our New Zealand broadcast of the GT3 series coming to you live. Again, expect over 40 cars out of that series as well, followed by the Australian Endurance E-Series GTE GT3 series for its first race of Season 2. Friday, we're heading to do some IndyCar racing, and then on to Saturday for an endurance event at Catalunya. So plenty to come from the FGM eCast network. Likewise, it would be remiss of us not to mention our broadcast partner, AFTERSHOCK PC. If you are after a PC, that is the place to head in Victoria or nationwide, as they do box up and send their product everywhere. So if you're looking for a gaming PC, head to aftershockpc.com.au and have a look at their range. That is about it for us for tonight for this broadcast. So do head across and like everything that you can like, share everything you can share, and certainly look out for the highlights from this one that we will bring you tomorrow across our social channels. And as always, thanks very much for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we will see you at our next broadcast tomorrow night.
Oh man, that was something else. Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks, Stu.
Thanks for
Thanks,
organising.
Stu. Agree. Yep. Thanks to everybody. See you during the week.
As well. Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate your support. And, yeah, we'll push on.
There'll be people that'll complain, but